2, 3. All right, yo, what you saying? Welcome back to ISOJ. I said I wouldn't be back, but here we are again. The NBA is truly inescapable. Anyway, 2 games last night, and let's just say the reason I'm back is because one of those games was beautiful. But we'll get to that after. Firstly, let's start off with the Knicks versus the Pistons. The series is now tied at 1-1, and I think it's fair to say we now have a series on our hands. You could look at that first game from the Pistons and chalk it down to inexperience, right? And I get it. They had a big lead. They could have just ran that till the end. Cade had a game. 33-12 for Cade. He kept hunting that Karl-Anthony Towns mismatch and could just outspeed him. Just blew past him at every opportunity he had. The Pistons, as a whole, outside of Cade, Dennis Schroeder, and Tobias Harris, do have a tendency to get a bit logjammed on offense. And this is just how playoff basketball is. You're like, not every set, not every play is going to work the exact way you want it to, and you need to be able to improvise. You need to come up with something on the fly. So I feel like a young team, they're going to struggle with that. The Knicks had a good 19-6 run in the third, and it felt like throughout this game, the Knicks were getting good shots, and just like the Pistons, I feel like the Knicks also get really logjammed on offense. Where, like, I know how good Jalen Brunson is in isolation. You know, he is excellent. He leads the league in drives and is really crazy when you look at him because even on his drives, he can stop and has the footwork to get a good shot off. But when you watch everyone around Jalen Brunson, they're kind of just standing there. And it's a bit like you guys need to, if a guy is getting in the paint and doing his job, dribble penetration, right? Then that opens up movement. People are looking at the guy who's getting into the paint, getting into to get opportunities to score. So you guys need to move around the perimeter, find something. I was hoping, because there's a lot of plays on these Jalen Brunson isolations where the main thought of some of these guys is we're going to score anyway. And you can't hope for that. It's the playoffs. Like, teams are more locked in. Teams are more dialed in to know what you want to do. So you need to be able to improvise out of a situation like that. And there's loads of times where it costs them with like silly turnovers. There's this one play that OG Anunoby's on the fast break and just creeping behind the line. And I genuinely was like, when did OG get there? He gets the ball. He gets slowed down on the fast break, passes it out to Josh Hart, recklessly, I might add. And then Josh Hart tries to drive and then passes it out recklessly, I might add. So this just becomes a case of like, can you not trust anyone that isn't Jalen Brunson to drive the ball on this team? Worrying for the Knicks. Cat also went scoreless in the second half. And Cat is a guy who is a bona fide 3-level scorer. And one of the few bigs that can really do it. He is one of the best shooting big men. I think it's fair to say he is the best shooting big man. So let him work. A big portion of how they won game 1 was that Cat was active. Cat was hunting out buckets and mismatches. Now we get Tobias Harris in low post, and it's like, okay, I gotta go now. But remember, you are a 3-level scorer. You can get it done everywhere. So I'd like to see more action for Cat in this series. I'd like to see more than just Jalen Brunson ISOs sometimes. Campaign, who I thought played really well in that first game, put up a stinker. Just came in the game and said, hey, these hands are rated E for everyone, and just pretty much almost fouls out. I think that when the Pistons are playing like this, they look good. They looked good. They looked good last night, man. They also shot 22% from 3 and won the game 194. So take with that what you will. Let's go into the main event. Let's get to what we came here for. The Clippers versus the Nuggets. And I said this in my predictions video, and I'll reiterate the point again. This might be the best series of the playoffs, at least in this first round, because these two teams are very evenly matched. And Kawhi Leonard kind of showed us why he has the reputation that he does. Efficient. Ethical, wonderful performance from Kawhi. 35 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 15 of 19 from the field, 4 of 7 from deep. And for the early parts of this game, it felt like he was the only one who was going. In that first half, James Harden did not look great. James Harden looked very, very shaky. So did Norman Powell, but he stepped up as they got into the second half. And I think that's so big for a guy like Norman Powell, because role players are the kinds of players who will play better in your home games. Everything's comfy. You know the stadium. You're familiar with your surroundings. You're waking up in the same bed. It's little things like these. And I think going back to LA, Norman Powell might be in for a huge game here. So be on the lookout for that. As with every game 2, we start to see where do the adjustments come in? The team that wins, do they think, okay, cool, we just run it back, the exact same thing? And the team that loses has to think, okay, how do we deal with that? Because that is obviously a problem for us. The first game, the turnovers were bad and the offensive rebounding was atrocious. This game kind of fixed that a little bit. Early in, the Nuggets, the fast break is kind of unstoppable. They are one of the best fast break teams in the league. And they just were fed 12 points to start the game off of turnovers, silly turnovers. And you think, oh God, it's happening again. Norman Powell had a pretty awful night in the first half, at least. 0 of 8 in the first half, 5 of 14 to finish the game. And that's a worrying point for the Clippers because after Norman Powell, and yeah, okay, Zubac will still give you 15 to 20 points a night, fair. But after Norman Powell, who is there to give you an offensive punch outside of that? If you have another game where James Harden starts slowly or maybe Kawhi doesn't really get going, where does your offense come from? Because yeah, you can get Zubac, but he's good for 20 in a whole game. You need someone like Norman Powell to step up. And again, like I said before, I think next game, game 3 in LA is going to be pretty damn big for Norman Powell. I mean, we're here for a reason, right? We're here to talk about Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi Leonard was unstoppable. He's shooting over 2 people, tough shots over his shoulder, post-ups, drives, step-back threes, whatever you name it. He was on one. He was there. Kawhi was the Kawhi that was promised. And 39 points on this level of efficiency, shooting damn near 75% from the field. What more can you ask for? The one thing that worries me is how much can we ask of this? Because if it takes a performance like this to get you a 3-point win, this is going to be a tough series. And it's hard to say Jokic had a stinker when he had a 26-point triple-double. But I don't think this was the best game for Jokic. That second half, you could tell he was tired. He got a 5-minute rest in the second quarter and then played pretty much the entirety of the second half. So there were a lot of silly turnovers from Jokic. What the Clippers did in this was they got the double going on Jokic in moments where Chris Dunn could sag off his man. And just because Chris Dunn is pretty quick, just sideswipe Jokic when he isn't looking, knowing that, okay, cool, he can't see me right now, I'm going for the ball. And a lot of times it worked. Jokic had 7 turnovers last night. That is uncharacteristic from our potential MVP, right? That is pretty uncharacteristic for Nikola Jokic in general. Another person I want to highlight is Russ, because Russ is like the Mario Kart item box if it was a person. This game, 14 points off the bench, I think 5 rebounds. Again, what more can you ask? Russ can be boneheaded at times, but he is always 100% willing to do everything he can to win a game. Russell Westbrook, man. I didn't think he'd be this important to this team, but after we saw in game 1 where Michael Porter Jr. was subbed out because he wasn't being as effective as Russ was, MPJ also had a great game too. MPJ went 15 for 15. Sorry, he didn't shoot 15 of 15. He had 15 points and 15 rebounds. So again, great game for MPJ. I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I think this is going to be a barn burner of a series. And I think this is the one that everyone should have circled to watch. Anyway, I guess that's it for me. Hopefully, I can take a 1-day break and, take some time. But it is what it is. If I'm here tomorrow, I'm here tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great day wherever the hell you are. If you like the video, a like would be wonderful. If you liked it that a little bit more, a subscription goes a long way. We're almost at 100, which I thought was kind of crazy. We hit 100 on TikTok, we hit 100 here. So the goal is just constantly getting bigger. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Take good care of yourself. Enjoy yourself. It's sunny here in London, and I hope it's sunny wherever you are. Have a good day. Bye-bye now.